Hi everybody, this is M from DIYM. Today we're going to do a fairly quick tutorial on how to make bows. I made a long tail bow here, but you can definitely play with sizing and things like that with the strips if you want it to be a little bit bigger or if you want this to be a little shorter. I'm going to probably do a shorter one. I might do about the same size of this, but I'm probably going to do a shorter tail on this as well. But I just wanted to sort of show you guys how to make these bows with this really simple tool. There are going to be a few other things that I'm going to be using to make this bow happen as well, but this makes things really fast and really easy because it's mostly this tool that I'm going to be using. Okay, so first things first, I'm going to be using this paper. This is kind of left over from when I made this envelope here for this card that I made on this channel in a series that I just did. So in case you guys haven't checked that out, I'll leave the link down below for that. It was a really fun series to make with stuff that my husband bought me for my birthday. But yeah, this is one of the gifts that he gave me, and it's really nice and really simple and really fun tool. And I just wanted to show you guys quickly, obviously how to make an envelope, but also how to make a bow in a separate video. But yeah, so I got these pastel hues, linen texture cardstock, and it's 12 by 12, but you can use 8.5 by 11 sheets of paper if you'd like. You can make all different things, preferable that is paper, because I think it's a little easier to cut in this, but you could definitely use cardstock in here. So I used, obviously this is cardstock, but yeah, you can use pattern cardstock, plain cardstock, metallic, shiny, holographic. I think you could probably use sparkle cardstock, all sorts of different kinds of things, as long as it goes in here and cuts nicely. Probably going to be using these glue dots just to glue this together, but you can use white glue. I like to use Berliard's glue sometimes, but you might have to hold things down a little bit longer. I also like to use sometimes hot glue, but that can be also really hot and hard to use. So this makes the process a little bit faster and less dangerous. So there's that. I'm also going to be using, I don't think I'm going to be using a ruler, but I think I'm going to be using the ruler on this trimmer along here. If you want to, you can totally use a ruler and cut it with maybe an X-Acto knife or something like that. But yeah, I tend to use the trimmer a lot of the time. If you want to, you can also use a pencil, but that's not necessary. And I think I'm going to be using some scissors, just regular scissors. You can use any kind of scissors you'd like. Yeah, so that's pretty much that. So I'm just going to put this one aside over here, and we'll see, we'll compare them in the end, okay? But it's probably going to be the exact same paper that I'm going to be using here. So what I did was I used, I think this is about 8 inches in length here, which is kind of what I wanted. Oh, I think I'm only going to be able to get one out of this, but I wanted to get about an inch width. So I'm going to do that. And I'm actually going to turn it around this way because this is a nicer edge here. I could use that strip for something else, I'm sure. Could probably also make another different bow, just a little thinner. But I just wanted to make sure that this is about an inch in width. And I'm going to do the same thing for this. Just get about an inch or so off of it. So many different ways of doing this, but I just figured I'd show you at least one way. I'll figure out how long I want this guy later because I wanted to make shorter tails, so I'm just gonna put that aside right now. So this is what I want to do for the bow. So I'm just gonna use my mat here, which I don't normally use all that often. I mean, I use it, but I don't use the actual markings on it. So I have this crisscross here, right? So I'm gonna just sort of center this, and I'm going to put things in, see where it says notch? I'm gonna put things in this notch area, okay? So it gives this effect here, and on the other side, it gives more of a rounded corner edge, if that's what you want. But I'm gonna be mainly using the notch for making something like this, okay? So I'm gonna see if I can find about the middle of this. So I think these lines here, these thicker lines here, are perfect for lining things up a little bit. So that's what I'm going to do. And you can totally use a pencil if you want to find the middle, especially if you're not making something as big as me. Okay, so it's 8 inches by 1 inch. I think I found the middle here, so I'm just going to do that. Cut that. So just punch it, and then you have this notch here. And then I'm going to flip it around. I'm going to try to have this notch right in the center, so I don't really have to line it up too much here. It's pretty much done for me. So I'm just gonna punch that. So it's kind of like that. And then what I did, and you don't have to do this because that's kind of like a lot taken off, but what I did, there's a thing here. I don't know if you can see this very well, but there's a thing here where I can't go any further. I mean, I can go further if I go like this, but I can't go any further if you go in here. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to just line that up right there, if that makes sense. Sorry, that was probably not easy to understand, but anyways, I'm going to just try to line it up here, right on this edge here. Okay, and then I'm going to flip it around and I'm going to do the same thing over here. Line that up there. And if you want to, you can just also just line up things like I did in the middle originally. And then I'm going to flip this around. I'm basically doing the exact same thing on this side. Flip that around. Like that. Alright, I have a whole pile of these now. Cool. So sometimes this thing frays quite a bit. The trimmer does anyways. I'm just gonna trim off. This one's a very textured cardstock too. Anyways, so I'm just gonna cut off this part right here just to make a tab. You can cut it even shorter, which I'm going to end up doing. So yeah, if you want, you can cut that in advance, like around here maybe, and then just, I'm gonna do it a little shorter than this, to be honest. So anyways, there's that. I'll do the tails in just a moment so you can see how short I want them to be. So I'm gonna do this part first. And you don't have to curve this if you don't want to, but you can. I've done this with bows in the past. Here, I'm sorry. If you want to, you can curve things with a ruler or a bone folder, or I've used chopsticks in the past. So there's lots of different ways of doing that. As I said, you can glue this with hot glue, white glue. I'm gonna use my glue dots for this. You can use mini ones too. I've got mini ones if you want to do some smaller bows or something. I'm gonna try to spread it out a bit. I don't want it to be too obvious, I guess. And I'm gonna try to line things up along here, basically like that. And then I'm gonna do another glue dot. Just gonna make it a little bit longer. Just line it up. Okay, like that. That's like that. I'm gonna also just really quickly trim. You can do this with your trimmer. I'm just gonna trim the bow center. Just wrap that around here. Okay, so there's that. And then I'm gonna see how long I want to make the tail. I'm gonna make these 2 inches. I'll just cut this in half and see how that goes. I'll go 5 inches. Well, I can play with that later if I wanted to. This is in the middle. Do that for the notch here. Switch that around, okay? And then I'm going to, I want it right in here so that I can get a dovetail look. Try to line it up as best as I can to make it centered. There we go. Okay, and then you can always cut this off, but what I'm going to do is I'm going to just twist it like that. And then you can just pop that on there. Just get one more glue dot. But yeah, you can do all sorts of stuff. As you've probably seen on my channel, I've done other bows. You can even put a notch in the middle here and make things a little bit more rounded. But yeah, you can do all sorts of different sizes. This is the same sort of size. I just wanted to do different tail lengths. But yeah, you can totally put something on in the center as well. I always say this in every bow video that I do. You can put flowers, you can put hearts, you can put gems, you can put nail art in the center. These bow centers that I've done, they're different widths, so you can do all sorts of different stuff with that too. But yeah, it's a really fun, easy, straightforward craft, so I highly recommend it. I think it's a fun one. As I said, you can make envelopes with it. That's the initial thing that you basically do originally. That's what it was meant for. But yeah, I think that this is actually really cool because you can use it for all sorts of different things. As you guys know, I have an alphabet punch board where I can make bows and hearts and all sorts of fun stuff like that. But yeah, this also makes things like that really easy. I wonder if I could actually probably make hearts with this. I'd have to play around with it. But yeah, it's cool that you can basically do that. Do you guys have one of these? Let me know in the comments below. Have you made anything other than bows and envelopes? I always love to know if you've seen what else this particular tool can do. I always want to know all the cool different things that it can do. I always like to find that out and use that in my craft arsenal. But anyways, this is pretty cool. I really like this. It's actually really good if you have a whole bunch of paper left over. Play with your scraps and you can make some really fancy fun stuff for gifts or whatever you're doing. Anyways, I hope you guys like that. If you did, please give me a like, subscribe if you haven't done that yet, and share the video for anybody who likes fun tools that are really simple, easy to store, and like to make bows. This is really cool because honestly, I never really liked making bows much before, say with dies and things like that, but I find the punches are really fun and fast and really easy to make. So this is an easy thing that you can take out of your stash really quickly and whip up something really fun and really fast. I feel like I could do this in minutes. I just wanted to explain things a little bit more thoroughly, but I could basically do this in minutes if I wanted to. Same with the envelope. It makes them in no time flat. Another bow video down. I got so many bow videos now. I'm gonna link all the bow videos that I have down below so you guys can check that out. All the different methods that I have done with paper or other materials. I also have a bow that I made out of ribbons. Actually, a few different bows that I've made out of ribbons. I should have like a whole playlist for bows specifically. I'll try to do that at some point. So anyways, that's pretty much it. Take care, everybody. Have a good one. Bye! Happy crafting!